Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another series of Sustained Leadership webinar series with a new topic and a new guest. Today, I have the pleasure to host a very interesting person who has pivoted many careers. Our paths have crossed before. We had some common work together, but here we are reconnecting and finding him on a totally different journey. That's very interesting to all of us to talk about a topic that I think has become the topic of the decade, especially that we have been witnessing a lot of adversity, which impose on us this feeling of anxiety, feeling of uncertainty. So the question, the $1 million question today is, how do we find balance in a very uncertain and unbalanced world? And I have the pleasure to welcome Sami Khoury, who is the founder of Mind Resilience. He's a resilient coach, and he works with people to help them build resilient mindset and to fight anxiety and to feel balanced, which is, I think, is the dream, and that we all seek to feel just that fulfillment and balance. So I would just invite you, Sami, to tell us a little bit about your story, because I know that this is not a topic that you just decided to embrace as a profession or, just to become a coach. We really learned it the hard way, and each of us can relate to it. So it's very relatable. And I think by telling us the story, we will learn a great deal of how can we invite more balance into our lives. The stage is yours. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much, Hanan, for that lovely introduction. Hey, everyone. I'm excited to meet you all and get to know you and to tell you a little bit about what I've gone through and what has helped me maintain my inner balance and inner peace, especially during these turbulent times. So a little bit about me, so you know who's talking to you. I'm originally Palestinian. I've spent most of my life in the UAE. And in the last 13 years in my career, I worked in the startup world, the nonprofit world, the agency world, the corporate world. I started my own social enterprise, and mainly my role was in the business development and marketing side. And I noticed something over, these 13 years, that I was suffering. I was suffering on the inside. I was suffering a tremendous amount of anxiety, feelings of low confidence, a few bouts of depression, envy, negativity, anger. And I was wondering, like, why am I feeling all these things when I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to do in my life and my career? It's like, no matter where I went, no matter what I did, no matter how great things turned out for me, there was always this dark cloud over my head. I couldn't explain it. And I've always really pretty much been into personal development and, self-help and being the best person that you can be. And the last 3 years, I started diving into the more advanced fields of psychology, neuroscience. I mean, I'm fascinated with the human mind, fascinated with the human brain, mindfulness, spirituality, Western philosophy, Eastern philosophy. And after all this learning and studying, I discovered something. I discovered that most of what I had been feeling and thinking were simply illusions of my mind. That all of the worrying, all of the low confidence and the low self-esteem and the envy, it didn't exist. I was conjuring it up. My inner suffering came from how I was perceiving myself and how I was perceiving the world around me. And again, we'll get into like conditioning and why we're made to think the way we do, no matter what part of the world we're in. And a lot of like what I noticed is that I was kind of striving to be this Arab alpha male where, okay, I have to win all the time. I have to be ambitious. I have to be the most popular, the funniest one. I have to be entitled no matter where I go. And that's when I realized that was the source of my suffering, because I was trying to be something that I'm not, just so I could please everyone around me, family, community, job. And I realized that how ridiculous that was, that what's important in life is our health, our mental well-being, our inner peace, because we can go around chasing so many things and wanting so many things and wanting recognition and money and popularity. But if that is going to be at the cost of our tranquility, is it really worth it? So I just got so excited and so fascinated, and I felt, you know what, this is something that what I've learned is something that I want to share with others. And now I'm a mindset coach, and every day I wake up and excited to help people who went through what I went through, and to help them become the best version of themselves. To be still, no matter the chaos that's happening around us. To be as still as the eye of the storm within the storm.
So,
And
Sami,
it's very much possible.
if I want to ask you, because I'm somebody who, when you said still, I remembered this caricature that I shared on my social media once, and it just showed this woman sitting in a meditation position. I'm like, come on, stillness. I don't have a whole day, like sometimes, I mean, it's and I'm guilty of that, and I'm sure a lot of people will be listening to us. They would say, yeah, this is easier said than done. I mean, how do you invite stillness? And when did you have that breakthrough that you felt that you are the master of your mind, if you will? I mean, where do you know that you can do it, or what needs to change or shift?
So there were several breakthroughs that I had where I became confident that I could master my mind. And it was a combination of really learning new tools, new exercises, new perspectives, and at the same time, knowing that I've already experienced that. We have all of us, every single one of us at some point in our lives has experienced a state of stillness. Even if that includes, when we were children or when we were having fun with friends. And that state of stillness comes from being submerged in the present moment, where all you are thinking about is what's happening around you, where you are completely taking in all the sights, the sounds, the smells, the sensations that are happening in your current state. So I know that I've already experienced that. You've already experienced that. But the problem is that we get carried away with life and get carried away with chores, activities, projects, that our mind is either in the future or stuck in the past. So it was through learnings and just simply remembering that, okay, I've been in this place before. It already exists within us. And it's kind of about simply bringing that sensation back, while at the same time using certain mantras and perspectives, which of course we'll talk about.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think many people here, and please feel free, by the way, to send your comments in the chat. We will have a chance. If you have any questions, please mention them in the chat. So we'll give you a chance before we finish so that you can voice them out. So thank you for sharing that. And as I said, many people, I'm sure, are thinking, okay, is there a tool? Is there a routine that probably we need to start? And how long will it take somebody who is completely out of being able to be still or to meditate or to stop? Because some people are anxious. I know so many people around me, especially these days, that are on medication. They take some kind of pills and they say we have anxiety attacks and all of that. So what kind of routines can help us start?
For sure. For sure, I'll share a couple of tools and perspectives. And before I do, just the key thing with any new exercise or any new habit that you learn to want to improve yourself is repetition. Is to constantly remind yourself, to constantly implement whatever tool or habit or practice you're doing. So let's start with a tool that is called the Dichotomy of Control. And the dichotomy of control, it is essentially understanding what is in your control and what is not within your control. Now you can use this at any time, whether on the job, on a project that you're working on, certain healthy activities you're working on, chores, day-to-day activities, understanding at every moment what is within your control and what is not within your control. And then once you know that, you shift your focus to what is within your control. You shift your energy to what is within your control. You shift your attention to what is within your control. So, for example, what's not in our control? Bad traffic, bad weather, the economy, the marketplace, things that happen in your job, things that happen in your career.
Omicron or Delta and all of these
Omicron,
guys.
Delta,
Yeah.
all of these guys, these variants. People's opinions of you, people's behavior towards you, people's words towards you. Are these things ever in your control? No. What is within your control? What is within your control 100% is your willpower. It is how you respond to these situations, your character. And of course, what you do, like if we're talking about people and people's opinions and how they act towards us and how they annoy us, it's always important to remember that you have the power on how you want to react and how you want to respond. It is about our character. It is about maintaining our soul. It is about being a good person. It's about knowing that at every moment when you're dealing with someone difficult or an unfortunate situation arises or your iPhone breaks, it's about responding with virtue and responding with ethics. Because when you know that you've done the right thing, no matter what happens around you, you can maintain your inner peace. Lead with virtue and peace follows. That is one tool. And if I may, let's go a bit deeper. You say, oh, but you know what, Sammy, like it's really important for me that people care what I think. And, it's very important for me to get that nice car and to have that nice phone and to show it off. Okay, let's go deeper. All of these objects have certain characteristics in common. Number one, they are all temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Number two, they're unstable. They are constantly changing. And number three, the existence of these objects and these individuals depend, and the nature of these individuals and the nature of these objects depend on other conditions that are also not within our control. So logically, you are putting your happiness, you are putting your peace of mind in the hands of something that is temporary, unstable, and conditional. How will you ever find inner peace if that's what you're conditioning your happiness on? It's like you've created a contract.
Yeah.
You've created a contract with the universe. You've created a contract with the world that says, I will only be happy if these conditions are met. I will only be happy if my wife or husband is doing what I want them to do. I will only be happy if I get recognized in my job. I will only be happy if I wait only 10 minutes in the line to go recharge my phone. It's about openness to experience and allowing what happens to you to simply allow it and accept it. Of course, other people's ethics and other people's virtue, that's not your issue. Your issue is yourself, meaning self-care, your own inner balance, your own peace of mind. So that is one tool that you can start using, the dichotomy of control. understand what is within your control, what is not within your control, and then shift your attention and energy to what is within your control, which is your character, how you respond, and your soul. Again, easier said than done, but it's very possible.
Yeah,
And
it's a practice.
it's a practice, it's repetition. I mean,
Yeah.
I can give a quick, simple example. I mean, I use this example, you know, when we go to Itisalat, which is the telecommunication store here in Dubai. And every time I go, there was this long lineup. And I would get so flustered and say, no, I must not wait. I shouldn't wait. I have to go now and talk to someone. And over time, I noticed that that attitude did not serve me and it didn't help me.
Yeah.
And another tool we can talk about when the time is right is the shift in perspective, which is, okay, I have to be stuck in this line for half an hour. What can I do? Something for me that I use is I remind myself that I am strengthening my patience. I have a baby daughter. If there's one lesson that I can teach my baby daughter in this lifetime, it is patience. That is the first lesson. I hope she'll learn that.
Yeah.
So by simply taking that shift my perspective, that okay, this is an opportunity to strengthen my patience, to strengthen my willpower. And now when I go to the Ittisalat, I'm so adi. I'm fine. I don't get upset.
You're just calm. Do you? Yeah, it's. I mean, when I hear you talking about that, you know, there's a little voice, and we're like, yeah, no. Some people are born with patience, some people are not. But then again, it's listening to that noise that is not allowing us to embrace new virtues. Because you know, for me, I always say when patience was being distributed, I was absent. So I completely feel that I have no patience and I never think that I can learn it. And I tend to want to convince myself that I was born like that. And I think a lot of people, we fall into under, this is who I am, this is how I am, and I don't want to change, even if it's not really helping us. So how do we liberate ourselves from this thought of, no, I'm just not a patient person? You know, for example, I'm just giving a live example right here.
Yeah.
How can you help me with that, with stopping on thinking that I'm just not patient? How can I embrace patience?
So you said two things, which is, it's very important. How do I embrace patience? And then how do we liberate ourselves from these destructive thoughts and destructive emotions? We liberate ourselves from these limiting beliefs and destructive thought patterns and emotions by recognizing that throughout our lives, we have been conditioned to a certain extent. We've been conditioned and programmed to feel and believe that we are not enough. That no matter what we do, no matter how hard we work, there is always something missing. And this conditioning has started from a very early age, from our family, from our culture, from our schooling, our workplace environment, our university, our colleagues. And on top of that, just all the media around us, advertising, social media, music, our favorite Netflix series. All of these have both explicit and implicit messages that what we are doing in our lives is not enough. And this is a great source of inner suffering. So the first thing is having that awareness, understanding that we are, if we're not careful, we can be flung around by our emotions and flung around by our thoughts that actually have very deep roots in our past. Our past, which includes our failures, our successes, our traumas, our good memories, our bad memories, our positive associations with what we're experiencing, our negative associations with what we're experiencing. This comes from our past experience. So the first step is recognizing that. When it comes to patience, again, if I'm going to dive in, again, the patience, in my opinion, it's all about, yalla, yalla, yalla. Go,
Yeah.
go, go. What are you waiting for? Go out there, get that job, get that opportunity, get that client. And obviously, we need to have a job to sustain ourselves financially. There's no doubt about that. But the problem is that we become a slave to that way. We become chained to this image in ourselves that what I'm doing is not enough and I have to hurry up. I don't have time. And before we know it, that's simply we're functioning like that. We're like on an autopilot. And that's also something very interesting that I'd love to talk about: the brain, how it learns. The brain is moldable. It molds itself based on its experiences. So, for example, let's say that I sorry, I think let me know if you can't hear me. I think my earphone.
Hey, no, we can hear you perfectly.
So let's say that I come back home one day from shopping and I forget the milk. And then I tell myself, "Oh, I'm a bad husband." What happens in the brain is there is a neural pathway that's created. A neural pathway is essentially a path within the brain that sends signals within different parts of the brain and sends signals to our body. A neural pathway in the brain is created that says, "I am a bad husband." And the next day I go back to the supermarket and again I forget the milk or something else. And I tell myself, "Oh, I'm a really bad husband." That neural pathway is being strengthened because I keep repeating the same negative thought or negative mantra. And eventually, when I keep telling myself that I'm inadequate, my brain believes it. So, this is also something very important to be aware of, that the way we talk to ourselves has physical, biological changes in our brains. It's fascinating. Of course, it's on a cellular level, but how else do we experience this life? We experience it through our mind, through the power of our brain.
True, and yeah, interesting. I know that you read a lot about neuroscience, but another topic that I feel that impacted your journey is Stoicism. And
Yeah.
yes, we used to have that group, and we used to discuss all these reflections, and I used to love those talks and those conversations. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to know what was the link between Stoicism, and if you can just introduce it a little bit to the participant
Yeah.
briefly, and how it
Yeah, for
helped
sure.
you. Yeah.
For sure. So Stoicism, or Stoic philosophy, it's an ancient Greek philosophy that was commonplace around 2000 BC. And there's some famous Stoic philosophers. Maybe some of us have heard of Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, the guy from Gladiator, Epictetus. And essentially, the goal of Stoic philosophy was how to live a good life. And what they believed is that we live a good life through morality and wisdom. Morality means being a good person, focusing on our character, focusing on our ethic. Because again, like I was saying, when you lead with virtue, peace follows. When you're doing good, then you have nothing to worry about, even if things go wrong. So that's one part of the philosophy which greatly influenced me. And then there's wisdom. So, what do we mean by wisdom in the philosophical world? So, wisdom is not necessarily, "Oh, I know how to fix a bike, I'm wise." Wisdom is understanding truth. Wisdom is understanding the truth of ourselves and the truth of the world that we live in. It is understanding how we are triggered and how we act and what is the cause of our suffering. And also, a part of that includes a part of the philosophy includes cosmopolitanism, which means in ancient Greek, it means basically contributing to society, helping your fellow man. So it was really all these characteristics that came together that really influenced me. And I'm like, wow, this stuff is amazing. And that kind of went deeper into philosophy, which again I can talk forever about. So yeah.
Absolutely. So before we give everyone a chance to ask a couple of questions, so now you are completely dedicated to mind resilience, which you founded. So tell us a little bit about it, and how did it come about, and why you call it mind resilience, and what does that mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
So as a mindset coach, my vocation is to help people develop mental resilience, to help people free themselves from their limitations, to help people free themselves from destructive thought patterns and emotions. So when we talk about resilience, it's not only about being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's also about acceptance. It is about self acceptance and accepting the world around us with all its good, with all its bad, as is. Accepting ourselves, first of all, is the most important thing. We accept ourselves for our powers, and we accept ourselves for our perceived flaws. And when you accept yourself for who you are, down to a cellular level, nobody can touch you.
Yeah.
What do you have to be scared of? What is there to fear? With everything that, with all the feedback you get and all the comments and the setbacks and drawbacks, not getting what you want. But if you are at peace with yourself, you have nothing. What is there to worry about? Again, it's hard. It might be hard to accept at first because we're so used to chasing after things. We're so used to being attached to our desires and trying to fill our unfulfilled desires, which a lot of them, again, are not within the sphere of our control. There was a French philosopher. His name was Blaise Pascal. You know what he said? He said that the root of all man's problems is that he is unable to sit still in a room alone.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely.
So, again, the first step is being aware of our tendencies and then turning inwards, understanding, why am I triggered this way? Why am I bothered by this individual's words? And then it comes to accepting ourselves. Now, when I say accepting ourselves, of course, it doesn't mean that, okay, I'm just going to accept myself and, sit on the
And
couch
be
all day.
reactive. Yeah, and be reactive.
It doesn't mean that. You can still be proactive and act in the world and try to make the changes in this world that you want to see changed.
Yeah.
But still be at peace with yourself. And simultaneously being at peace with things that don't turn out the way you want them to turn out.
That's the biggest challenge. Well, Sami, looking at you, I'm very convinced because I know you since years, and Bismillah, I can see the peace, and it's I mean, you are walking the talk, and that's why I say it's very relatable. You're not just talking about it theoretically. I can see that calm and that peace, and it's something that each of us really would look up to. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
and
you
again,
want...
it just takes practice. Sorry,
Yeah.
it just takes practice. For example, the dichotomy of control exercise. It's an exercise that all of us on this call can start using once the call ends. It's about continuously transforming the way you view yourself and the way you view the world, and understand you can control. The more you practice it, the more you repeat it, eventually it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was going to ask you, what is the homework that you would want us to leave with and say, okay, after we finish this call and this webinar, what is the first step that you would want us to do? Which is, I think you anticipated my question by dichotomy.
I mean, again, the first step is self-acceptance. First step is awareness of the self. The second step is acceptance of the self. And the third step is acting. It is transforming yourself.
Yeah.
It is, and a lot of that, which we haven't touched upon yet, is letting go. Which again,
Go ahead.
that's letting go is a taboo here. It's about letting go of people's opinions, people's thoughts towards you, letting go of when projects don't work out, letting go when a flight gets canceled. That hurts.
Yeah.
And also just something important about that. It's okay to have these emotions. It's okay. Okay, my flight got canceled, COVID. It's okay that the emotion arises. But the problem happens when we become slaves to that emotion. The problem happens when we become chained to our emotions and thoughts, where all we're seeing is these overwhelming, powerful, destructive ways of thinking, and we're not even aware of the person in front of us. We're not aware of our family member. We're not aware of our friend. We're not aware of the beautiful sunlight in the sky, because we have been so consumed by this emotion. And we are consumed by these emotions because we are unable to let go of things. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what's more important to me? That I land this client or my inner peace?
Yes, a lot to reflect on and process. Definitely, I mean, we have to start somewhere. I think mind resilience, resilience is a muscle probably that I think we can grow. We can, just like when we go to the gym and work on our muscles.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so because a lot of us think it's something that you were born with. I think it's the question of, is it nature versus nurture? I think some people are born with a bit of it, but I think all of us can practice if we are really dedicated, if we are serious about it, that we can. And so just want to thank you, Sami. It was really a lot to reflect on, and half an hour is definitely not enough. So I want to take advantage of these extra minutes and see if anybody from the audience has a comment, a question, or a story to share, or any insight. It will be really beneficial to all. Anybody, you can unmute yourself and just share, please, or ask. See, okay. I guess, okay, there's a question here. So Leah said she loved the talk, was brilliant. Thank you. And
one quick thing I wanted to add.
Yes, please.
While you talked about nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Again, I feel that it's time to move beyond that and to understand that is both nature and nurture.
And okay, yes,
we are born with certain inclinations. We are born with certain sparks. I mean, we are born with a love of music, or a love of sport, or a love of business. So it's really about embracing both of them. It's about integrating all of the dimensions within us. We are multi-dimensional individuals. We have both our light side, we have our dark side, we have our ambitious side, we have our lazy side, we have our scientific side, we have our art side. It's not about choosing one or the other. Yeah. And again, we've been made to believe that you have to choose one or to place yourself in a category. It is about embracing all the colors within you, to integrate and to be whole. And that, again, practice, self-remembrance, repetition. Once you integrate, and it is a lifelong process. Yeah. But once you're on that journey, you start surfing through life.
Yes, and I think each of us would love to continue this quest. I think it's a continuous quest of growth. And as you were advising me before we started, I said, yes, I am mindful of this, but I admit that sometimes I fall back into that mode of anxiety and all. And you said it's okay to fall back as long as you are aware of it and you continue wanting to. It's like learning how to walk for a kid. We all walk. When we start walking, we fall, and then again we continue walking. We don't just say that's it, we fell. So, thank you so much for all the insights. I think we can talk about this for hours. And can we see? We have another comment. Sally Hassan reflecting on the talk. Thank you. Letting go may be difficult, but when I decided to let go of certain things, life became easier. Yeah, absolutely. So let go. Yes, that for me, that's the takeaway. I think each of us could walk away with one word, one insight that stood out. For me, it was let go. Yes, totally.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Hanan, for this. I really appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. And again, you can follow me on Instagram. It's on Hanan's post if you want to reach out to me and talk. And I'm here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sammy, for reminding us about mind resilience. It's very important. And it came at the right time with all the news that we are hearing these days. We need to continue on learning how to live a balanced life, or at least bring some balance in this very uncertain and balanced world. And this session is recorded. We'll be sharing it with you, everybody who attended, so you can listen to it again. And yes, you can find Sami Fodi on social media. You can connect with him. And you can also stay tuned for our next webinar series with another guest. Maybe we'll have Sami again where we dig deeper into how to build more mind resilience with another subtopic of this big topic of mind resilience. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.